Det här är Loch Ness i norra Skottland. En armada av småbåtar letar efter ett berömt odjur. Man använder sonar och annan modern undervattensteknik. Ett föremål registreras av ekolodet. Och detta påstås vara en bild av monstret.
Loch Ness, on which the eyes of the world are focused, the reputed haunt of a prehistoric monster or monsters, and the newly found adventure ground of modern Gullivers.
Jakten på odjuret har pågått i decennier till den lokala turistindustrins glädje. Forskarna är skeptiska, men inte helt, för man kan aldrig veta.
Yeah, I could wake up tomorrow and find that the Loch Ness Monster has just crawled ashore with a large sign saying, "Boo sucks, fooled you again." Well, it wouldn't be the first time scientists have been wrong. We've been wrong before, we're going to be wrong again. And maybe there's something about Loch Ness we don't know after all.
In no way am I even attempting to convert anybody to the religion of the object in Loch Ness. But I saw it. And nothing can take that away.
Länge var detta den så att säga officiella bilden av ett möjligt monster. Ja, den där bilden den togs alltså för drygt 60 år sedan och den är sannolikt en bluff. Men det finns andra typer av registreringar som inte kan avfärdas lika lätt. Och det var de som gjorde att monstret hamnade i Nature på 70-talet, alltså i världens mest ansedda vetenskapliga tidskrift. Idag så finns det tusentals ögonvittnen som tror på vad de sett. Och några registreringar med ekolod saknar fortfarande en rimlig förklaring. Men kritikerna de säger att det handlar om önsketänkande och folktro. Hur som helst, fenomenet Loch Ness det fortsätter att fascinera. Och det finns en tänkbar förklaring, det hävdar kvällens dokumentär som gjorts av den amerikanska Nova-redaktionen. Uppe i norra Skottland ligger den vackra och gåtfulla sjön Loch Ness. Under den här ytan finns en av de djupaste sötvattensamlingarna i världen. Den är kall och ogästvänlig miljö. Dykarna är rädda för att de ska tappa orienteringen i det kolsvarta vattnet. Och så kanske de tänker på berättelsen om Loch Ness. Under de senaste 100 åren har tusentals personer påstått att de har sett monstret. Något som har gett legenden nytt liv.
I'm driving along the loch side, glancing out of the window, and I saw this, as I say, described to me like this boiling in the water.
And I looked up at the loch, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw this black hump come out of the water.
About 30 feet in length and nearly 10 feet in height from the water to the top of the back.
It seemed as if it had been still and started to move off, but there was a neck.
And it flipped over, just flipped right over like that, crashed down, and you could see it.
There's the chance I've seen something in the water, but what is it?
Är det här man ser? Fotot togs 1934 och visar ett okänt djur. Eller är det bara bluff? Den här filmen togs 1960 och efter databehandling så framträder en suddig svart klump som inte alls liknar den båt som filmades senare samma dag för jämförelsens skull. Båda rör sig med en hastighet av ungefär 15 kilometer i timmen. Fotoexperter vid brittiska flygvapnet har kommit fram till att klumpen är omkring 2 meter bred och 1,5 meter hög. Och att det troligen rör sig om en levande varelse. Många har försökt lösa mysteriet utan att lyckas. Men försöken fortsätter.
Okay, let's go, fellas.
Idag kommer en ny expedition till Loch Ness. Ledaren Bob Rines är advokat och har grundat en utbildningsanstalt för jurister. Han har studerat naturvetenskap och teknik vid MIT i Boston och har bidragit till utveckling av både radar och sonar. Men hans verkliga passion är att leta efter odjuret i Loch Ness.
If you don't have an open mind, in my judgment, you're not a scientist. If you don't have ideas, if you don't have adventure, if you don't have an open mind, you'll never make a discovery. And I think there's a misconception that science has to be something rigid, something sponsored by NASA or the government or millions of dollars. I mean, a scientist is a scientist. I don't care where you put him.
Rines kompanjon i sökandet är Charles Wyckoff. Han är uppfinnare och har 60 patent registrerade. Han utvecklade bland annat en film som de första atombombsexplosionerna. Och månlandningarna dokumenterades med. Det tog tid innan han tände på idén om ett sjöodjur.
At first I said it was a myth, then I became an agnostic. And then pretty soon I said, gee, you know, there's more to it than that. I guess there's something down there. And then I got really intrigued. And the more instrumentation I cooked up, the more intrigued I became.
Det här blir sista kapitlet i ett sökande som började för omkring 30 år sedan när Rines fängslades av mysteriet under en utflykt till Loch Ness.
That's good.
We can still do it, can't we?
Yep.
Han tyckte att många av berättelserna från Loch Ness lät trovärdiga.
I just got this strong feeling that everybody wasn't a liar. Everybody wasn't a fool. There was something there.
Han blev övertygad sommaren 1972 när han och hans hustru såg något som de aldrig har glömt.
And we came out on the field, over there, we looked down, and there was this big grayish hump. It went out against the wind currents into the mouth of Urquhart Bay. It turned around and came back right in front of us and sank.
Efter sin upplevelse organiserade Rines en expedition. Han sänkte ner en sonar och en strålkastare i sjön, plus en kamera som tog en bild var 45 sekund. Efter flera veckors väntan blev det resultat.
Early in that morning, about 1 o'clock, we began to see the salmon jumping all over this bay. The rivers were dry, so they couldn't go up to spawn. And we could see it on the sonar, too. You see the fish moving. And then this big target came in on the sonar. And we were praying. It was just the right distance that the Edgerton camera could pick up something if we were lucky.
Tusentals rutor visade ingenting. Men sen kom 3 rutor där någonting hade registrerats av kameran. Efter databehandling hos NASA så framträdde en nära 2 meter lång fenliknande form.
We got at least 3 frames corroborated by similar images on the sonar target. That was a thriller.
Entusiasmen delades av Harold Edgerton vid MIT, uppfinnare av både stroboskopfotograferingen och den sidsvepande sonaren. Han skulle delta i Rhines senare expeditioner. Nya sonarutslag och den här bilden bidrog till att vinna en betydelsefull anhängare, Sir Peter Scott, en av Englands mest aktade biologer.
What I'm saying is that there is a body of evidence which I am prepared to accept, which cannot be explained in terms of known phenomena.
I och med Edgertons och Scotts stöd så fick sjöodjursteorin ny trovärdighet. 1975 skrev man en artikel i den ansedda vetenskapliga tidskriften Nature. Dessutom fick de lägga fram sina rön i underhuset.
To techniques for trying to observe and repeat the experiments relating to these large animals. Our sole objective, to get the zoological community all over the world, as well as other scientists, to analyze what we have produced, and indeed to debate what these things may be, and to get sufficiently interested that scientists dare to come to Loch Ness.
Men snart uppstod det oenighet om bildbevisen. Fotot med den fenliknande formen som redan hade behandlats digitalt av NASA hade på något sätt blivit den här bilden. Vilket skapade tvivel om bevisvärdet. Än mer kontroversiell var slutsatsen att det rörde sig om en svanödla, ett förhistoriskt djur som ansågs vara utdött sedan 65 miljoner år tillbaka. Zoologerna tyckte att det var en befängd idé.
So it seems to me we should be quite clear about what we have been invited to accept. It seems to me that we have been invited to accept that in a relatively small body of water, in what is from the zoological viewpoint one of the best explored countries in the world, we have a population of large predatory reptiles which could be warm-blooded and which might even be cannibals with snorkels. Now this I find very difficult to take.
We fought shy a little bit of the Loch. One of my predecessors at the museum was actually sacked from his job for going up on the Loch. And probably the monster here has had a very bad effect on science in that many scientists had a nervous twitch when the Loch was mentioned for reasons you'll quite understand. It could be the kiss of death to your career.
I think they got frightened. Those who make their living from this as zoologists are not ready to believe on the basis of one picture that something that should have been dead 65 million years ago is still existing in some form at Loch Ness, Scotland.
Men Rhines ville göra ett nytt försök och av de ursprungliga expeditionsmedlemmarna fanns nu bara Wyckoff kvar.
Recently, Charlie and I looked at each other. Matter of fact, on his 80th birthday. He says, oh my God, Doc Edgerton's dead, Sir Peter Scott is gone, Carol Rhines is gone, and here we still are. He said, I think we owe it to them to go back with improved technology, try to duplicate the experiments where we were successful before, just to see if there's still something left in that log. And if there is, to have a bag of tricks to do much better to try to photograph it.
Men att söka igenom Loch Ness är svårare än det ser ut. Den nära 4 mil långa sjön sträcker sig till floden Ness, som rinner ut i havet. Den är bort 250 meter djup och är den till volymen största sjön på de brittiska öarna. För att få hjälp med sökandet så samlade man ihop en grupp frivilliga forskare och ingenjörer.
Hey, Arnie. How are you? Pretty good. How was the flight?
Oceanografen John Fish och marinbiologen Arne Carr äger ett företag för undervattenssökning.
I haven't seen any thermals yet as far as the water column. I specialize and my partner specializes in locating hard to find underwater targets. So I just view this as another opportunity to look in a body of water we haven't been in before.
Högt ovanför sjön installerar man en reléstation för det GPS-system som ska hjälpa dem att navigera. Om man hittar något så kan man fastställa den exakta platsen med hjälp av GPS.
We'll start transmitting through the UHF transmitter.
Och sen ska fotograferna som följer tätt efter försöka filma det man hittat.
I made a slight change in the camera, so we better make sure this thing is going to fit all right.
Okay, I'll open up the front here. Why don't you get the...
Loch Ness är full av partiklar som har sköljts ner från stränderna. Och sikten i det gulaktiga vattnet är begränsat till ungefär 1 meter.
It's like driving down the road at night in a fog. Your headlights create this fog and you can't see the road. Now, if we could separate the headlights off to the side, you'd have a better chance. You'd see the road. So I'm doing the same thing here. I'm separating the light source from the camera. Take our light source.
Det mesta av expeditionens begränsade resurser går åt till sökningen med sonar. Dessutom så har man monterat en videokamera och en bildstrålkastare på en aluminiumram som blev över från en expedition på 70-talet.
We don't own very much of the equipment. We're known as scroungers. And most of us are MIT, and that's a natural thing at MIT.
So all this stuff that looks like it came out of somebody's garage actually works?
It actually works, yeah. It worked 20 years ago, it'll work now.
En annan teammedlem är Adrian Shine.
Hello, Bob.
Hey, hi there, Adrian.
Well, a long time. What are you up to?
We're gonna scour...
Hans undersökningar har övertygat honom om att det inte finns något odjur i sjön.
And it goes all the way down to the glacial clay. This is left by the ice, of course.
Side scan and...
You don't give up, do you?
Never give up. Never give up. We've got a plan to come down the north side here.
I've been granted an input to this expedition, the sort of resident skeptic, and it's a role that I am actually fulfilling to what extent I can.
Förberedelserna är klara och man kan starta.
Science, but now the time has come for us to get going. We only got 5 days with all the equipment for purposes we basically came here for. We got to scour this lake.
Doc Edgerton would call me every couple of months. When are you going to give up what you're doing, a crazy practice of law, to do something worthwhile? Identify what these big things are that shouldn't be here in Loch Ness. I just didn't listen. Now, I'm listening. I hope it's not too late.
Den första båten är fullpackad med utrustning. Där finns bland annat ett ekolod som pekar rakt ner mot bottnen. Det är ett komplement till expeditionens främsta sökvertyg, den sidsvepande sonaren. Den boxeras efter båten och skickar ut en ljudvåg i en 108 grader vid båge. När ljudvågorna går genom vattnet så reflekteras de mot föremål som de träffar. Signalerna skickas längs kabeln till instrumenten ombord som gradvis bygger upp en bild av undervattensmiljön.
Steady as she goes.
Under de senaste 10 åren så har det flera gånger rapporterats om ekon från rörliga mål som varit upp till 4,5 meter långa. Den grundligaste undersökningen gjordes 1987. En mängd båtar utrustade med ekolod sökte av sjön under en hel vecka. Det mesta som de hittade hade en logisk förklaring, men inte allt.
3 contacts we still can't explain, but that does not mean we never will explain them.
1994 deltog ett engelskt museum i den första stora undersökningen av sjöns ekologi. Att söka efter vidunder fanns inte med på dagordningen, men också då noterades stora rörliga mål.
It's hard to say exactly what it was. We followed it for at least 7, 8, 9 minutes. But it's very difficult to say exactly what it was.
They did find all sorts of interesting sonar targets, including moving targets. We've no idea what they were.
Put a line conditioner in. That's what delayed us a little bit this morning to see if we could wipe out some of that. But
Man påminns om hur svårt det är att fotografera nere i Loch Ness. Fukt har trängt in och förstört kameran. Man måste skicka efter en ny och det kunde inte ha kommit olägligare.
I see the light, the red light.
Marty, come up here a minute.
Ljudvågorna från ekolodet har träffat ett stort mål.
What you got? Some very big echoes here on the surface.
Oh, yeah. How deep are they?
They're not that deep. They're only about, 20 meters down?
You haven't had anything like that before?
No, I've never seen anything quite as big as that before.
Oh, goodness.
Good hard echo. Well, the side scan might pick that up. If it's not directly over it, it may not be directly over it. It could pick it up.
Men tolkningen kan bli svår. När ljudvågorna studsar tillbaka från de branta sidorna så skapas ofta vilseledande akustiska bilder. Till och med förändringar i vattentemperaturen kan skapa bilder av föremål som inte existerar.
That target should have been here by now. I see bottom returns. I don't see anything in the water column.
Could it be our beam is too low?
I think it is. We may not have gone over it yet. Maybe right there, but I think our fish is too low in the water. It's much closer to the bottom. The target that was seen on the sonar on the depth finder was high.
Vad det än var så registrerades det inte.
Range to the camera crew. We had a whopping big target on Gordon's sonar, but unfortunately not on the side scan because we're going to discontinue the magnetometer operation.
Whatever it was is quite high. I think there's a phenomenon here or something that is really interesting. Really, I would like to get an answer to. And we had a target today. It didn't look like a thermal to me. It looked more biological, but I don't know what it was.
Kan den varelse som tusentals människor tror sig ha sett finnas kvar? Observationerna började när en ny väg hade gett bilturisterna bra utsikt över Loch Ness. 1933 berättade 2 personer från trakten att de hade sett ett enormt djur som rullade sig och välde över ytan. Det kom in i lokaltidningen och på så sätt fick resten av världen reda på det.
Loch Ness, on which the eyes of the world are focused, the reputed haunt of a prehistoric monster or monsters, and the newly found adventure ground of modern Gullivers.
De djärva männen tänkte ta odjuret till fånga, men lyckades inte. Det näst bästa alternativet var att fånga det på bild, och ibland med bedrägligt resultat. Andra har låtit sig luras. Kölvatten, vanliga djur och flytande föremål har tagits för sjöodjur. Men ett fotografi skiljer sig från de andra. Det togs 1934 och fotografen påstods vara en läkare från London, Kenneth Wilson. I 60 år så var det här den så att säga sanna bilden av Nessie som odjuret hade döpts till. Men 1994 hävdades det att det klassiska fotot var en bluff. Den som påstod det var Alistair Boyd, som själv trodde på Nessie. 1979 hade han sett något som verkade vara ett väldigt djur i Loch Ness, och det gjorde att han ifrågasatte fotot.
I was suspicious of a hoax actually to begin with, because I'd always felt that firstly, the water texture in the surgeon's photo indicates to me that we're looking at a small object, probably no more than a foot high, and these are ripples rather than waves.
Boyd kom i kontakt med Christian Sperling, som sa att han och läkaren, alltså Dr. Wilson, hade lurat en London-tidning. Det man ser är en hals av plast som Sperling hade satt fast på en leksaksubåt. Bekännelsen blev ett hårt slag för odjuret i Loch Ness.
We don't know exactly where Wilson was when he took this photograph or claimed to take the photograph, but he indicated that he was.
Men journalisten Richard Smith tyckte inte att bekännelsen lät sann, och han försöker nu ta reda på om det kanske är bekännelsen som är falsk.
Let's go to the approximate site with the approximate equipment and try to reproduce this photograph and see what we get.
It's extremely important to the Academy, to us, to the public, to know, is the photograph possibly real? Is the photograph possibly a hoax?
My research has shown that the circumstances, as best we know, surrounding the Wilson photo are consistent with Wilson's stories. I think that I'm willing to go out on a limb, as it were, and do this investigation. I think it's certainly worthwhile no matter what the outcome is.
Är det här en närbild av en 30 centimeter hög modell, eller den 120 centimeter långa halsen som har fotograferats på avstånd? Man har byggt två modeller, 30 respektive 120 centimeter höga, och de ska nu fotograferas för att man ska se vilken som stämmer med originalfotot. Experimentet har blivit möjligt först sedan man upptäckt en ny version av läkarens foto.
One thing that's absolutely crucial to understand is that the familiar Nessie image, the familiar surgeon's photograph, is actually a cropped detail of a central portion of a much wider view.
Ringarna i vattnet runt figuren har också en del att berätta.
The circular disturbance is also very interesting because it's been used to calculate the angle at which the picture was taken, assuming that that's a round disturbance in the water. But of course we don't see it round because we're at an angle. It turns into an ellipse.
Analyser av ellipsen visar att kameraobjektivet lutade 19 grader nedåt från horisontalplanet. Smith har engagerat en lantmätare och en yrkesfotograf som ska ta ett likadant foto som det läkaren tog.
And put on the rangefinder. There we are.
19 degrees. Excellent. Let's see what we got. And that's very close. I think it's dead on to the original aspect ratio and the original seam.
You know, stretch right out with it. That's it.
Moved a little bit to this direction.
Nere vid stranden där originalfotot har tagits placerar man 30 centimeters modellen.
Is this matching the original photograph at all?
Yeah, the scale of the object is right, but it's far too far away.
So it's higher up in the picture.
Yeah.
So it seems like the problem is that when we get this thing more position than it's actually in the photograph, it becomes too big.
Much too big. First one that we shot.
Okay, now this is the 4-foot high target.
Yes.
That's at, as I recall, this is at the 3-foot elevation at Loch level.
Fotot av 30 centimeters modellen stämmer dåligt med originalfotot. Fotot av 120 centimeters modellen är mer övertygande.
He's closer with the 4-foot model, but I don't know why.
Well, I think I may have a reason for that, which is when you put together the basic elements, the kind of camera Wilson claimed to have used, the position where he believed he was, and a target of about the size he reported, you come up with the photograph that he claimed to have taken. This is certainly, although not proof, it is, I think, some very compelling evidence that perhaps the original testimony of Lieutenant Colonel R. Kenneth Wilson was genuine.
Smith är övertygad.
It could be very possible that they could come up with a photographic experiment in which their picture will look a lot more like this. And I hope that will happen, but it needs to be done.
Boyd bestämmer sig för att anta Smiths utmaning.
Yeah, if we, I mean, this looks about ideal, doesn't it? I mean, we just want to set up something so we
Med
get...
hjälp av den här 30 centimeters modellen i plast hoppas de kunna bevisa att fotot är en bluff. De lutar också sin kamera exakt 19 grader.
Just back off slightly. That's good.
Till vänster är det nytagna fotot och till höger originalet. De är lika, men Smith har invändningar.
See, now this is a very interesting experiment, and you're getting something which is certainly very close. One problem that I've always had, and it's certainly very much demonstrated by this, is the ripple patterns around the object. You can't reproduce them.
No, we were getting ripple patterns. I'm sorry, we weren't getting ripple patterns.
I don't see them in the photograph.
Experimentet visar att man med en 30 centimeters modell kan ta ett foto som är väldigt likt läkarens foto. Bilden kan alltså mycket väl vara en bluff.
I know that the thing I saw was not a log or an otter or a wave or anything like that. It was a large animal. It came heaving out of the water, something like a whale. I mean, the part that was actually on the surface when it stopped rolling through was at least 20 feet long. It was totally extraordinary. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. And if I could afford to spend the rest of my life up here looking for another glimpse of it, I would.
Det är expeditionens 3:e dygn och kameran fungerar fortfarande inte.
I just hope we get something tonight, though, because, I almost feel it in my bones that something's going to happen.
You feel it? I'll feel it too.
All right, okay.
Just so.
That's where we'll get it if we get it.
Ikväll ska man koncentrera sig på den djupaste delen av sjön.
And of course, this is the time, this is the circumstances in which the academies had luck back in 1972 with big things coming in.
Efter flera timmars rutinarbete så ökar aktiviteten.
We got a target. That's a very hard return. That's a very hard return, very discreet.
Ett antal föremål syns i utskriften. Ett av dem tycks vara 5 meter långt.
That's a very hard return, very discreet. Okay, tight 180 to port and do a reciprocal of what you've already done.
Med hjälp av GPS-systemet så kan man vända och söka av exakt samma område igen. Om målet finns kvar så är det troligen ett dött föremål. Om inte så är det något som rör sig.
Gentlemen, we may just have seen nothing.
It was dense discrete target, and what we expected to do is we did a quick reciprocal to come back over that target with the sonar, and we couldn't see it. It was gone. Hence, we saw it one time, went over the same area, didn't see it again. It's moving.
Marinbiologen Arne Carr anser att storleken och tätheten tyder på att det rör sig om en stor, solid massa.
It's an unusual target, especially the density. I mean, a moving target we've had before, but one with such a density we haven't had. Well, if you get into like a whale or something like that, yes, you will find something that dense. Usually, some of the whales obviously will be larger, but 5 meters is not small.
Carrs analys gör att det blir viktigt att få bildbevis. Morgonen därpå har man ersatt videokameran med en avancerad undervattenskamera.
This camera is a much more sensitive camera, so we can see farther underwater, and it'll go deeper. The other camera was limited because we had a scuba diver's housing for it. We could only go down maybe 150 feet. This we can go down to several hundred meters.
This definition we're getting is just fantastic. It really is.
Den nya kameran fungerar alltså bättre än man trott, så nu sprider sig en förväntan ombord.
We're in the area, and if there's something down there, we'll be able to see it.
Om Nessie är ett djur, som ögonvittnena uppger, så kan det få spännande konsekvenser. Långhalsade odjur har folk påstått sig att se i sjöar över hela det norra halvklotet. Från Sibirien och till Nordamerika. Det finns de som tror att det rör sig om arter som ännu inte upptäckts av vetenskapen, och de kallar sig för kryptozoologer.
Where there is a pronounced neck. So it's
now, from Lake Champlain, the descriptions seem to be much more serpentine, slender, longer, and not a long thing head as much. But not like this. Now,
Kryptozoologerna ägnar sig åt studiet av okända djur. I de allra flesta fall så handlar det om ögonvittnesberättelser.
And that's what I actually saw.
Height from the water to the top of the back. It was a bright...
Eyewitness evidence is completely useless in science. For science, something has to be repeatable. For repeatability, you have to have a specimen. You talk to an eyewitness, you've got no repeatability there. You can't go back in time and check what they saw.
Men ögonvittnesberättelser kan leda till märkliga upptäckter. Okapin 1901, bergsgorillan 1912 och en dittills okänd oxe 1992 i Vietnam. Innan dess så var de här arterna okända för vetenskapen.
Science somehow has this blind spot. They've got to learn to evaluate eyewitness responses, emotional responses, and other things that are very real. They may not be anywhere near 100% accuracy, but they deserve to be fit into the totality of the evidence.
How are you?
Roy Mackel är en pionjär inom kryptozoologin och dessutom molekylärbiolog. Han kom till Skottland på 60-talet och gick med ett sällskap entusiaster som höll Loch Ness under ständig bevakning.
I came because I was curious, and all we had basically were a few still photographs, some of which have since turned out to be frauds. But the eyewitness observations, while the least valid evidence, nevertheless in some cases were very compelling.
I wonder if you could sketch the outline of what you saw, just as make a waterline and then make sort of sketch what you saw.
Det är 30 år sedan han intervjuade ögonvittnen, men beskrivningarna är de samma idag. Och långt innan turistindustrin gjorde Nessie populär så var man övertygad om att det rörde sig om ett förhistoriskt djur.
Between 4 to 6 feet above water level. I went straight home, into the house, got out my book of prehistoric creatures, and the nearest I could liken it to was the place you saw.
Svanödlorna var samtida med dinosaurierna. De var kräldjur och levde på fisk i varma innanhav.
They look like giant turtles with long necks. They swam rather like penguins. If you can imagine a giant penguin with 4 limbs going up and down, you've got a plesiosaur. As far as we can tell, they died out 70 million years ago.
Men i haven finns det faktiskt relikter efter flera förhistoriska djur. Från jättemunhajen som upptäcktes 1976 till tofsstjärtfisken som man trodde hade dött ut samtidigt som svanödlorna.
The coelacanth here is a very remarkable fish because it's a form that was thought extinct for 60 to 80 million years. And then all of a sudden it's found alive, the form is found alive in 1938. It proves that if it can happen once, it can happen again.
Kan svanödlor ha överlevt i Loch Ness, frågar sig entusiasterna. Loch Ness fyller en förkastningsbricka som nästan delar Skottland mitt itu. När landmassorna på varsin sida om förkastningen stötte mot varandra så skapades ett område av fragmenterat berg. Och under varje istid har glaciärerna gröpt ur det så att det bildas en djup sänka.
As the ice moved down from the tributary valleys on either side of us, it got confined into the valley created along the fault, and it accelerated. And this acceleration deepened the floor of the loch. So we've got successive major glaciations, and during each one, it gets deeper and deeper and deeper into the fault breccia along the line of the fault. And then it opens out, the ice opens out at Inverness, and so it ceases to erode down. So that's why we've got an enclosed basin over 800 feet deep at this locality.
Svanödlorna kan inte ha överlevt i Loch Ness därför att sjön under en stor del av tiden har varit bottenfrusen. Efter den senaste istiden återstod en djup bassäng med iskallt vatten och en grund förbindelse med havet, floden Ness. Kan svanödlor ha tagit sig till sjön via floden sedan dess? Det är knappast troligt och de skulle inte ha överlevt i det kalla vattnet.
After carefully considering all of the evidence, most importantly, sonar contacts which give some idea of how these animals move and how fast they can swim. This convinced me that we had to have an aquatic mammal.
De varmblodiga däggdjuren har en ämnesomsättning som gör att de kan överleva i kalla vatten och urvalen hade en ormliknande hals.
This is a long snake-like whale known from the fossil record, thought to be extinct for 18 million years. But clearly some have survived, and this is not a surprise because we have other animals which were thought to be extinct 70 million years ago, and they're alive and well.
Men skulle en hel koloni av de här djuren kunna leva och föröka sig i Loch Ness?
Okay, this is a computer printout of a transect that we're completing across the main body of the loch.
Loch Ness is a huge body of water, more water than the whole of England and Wales put together, but it's very unproductive. There are very few chemical nutrients, you know, the fertilizers to start the food chain off. And the little microscopic plants have got another problem as well. There's very little light penetration, and I'm going to just show you here. This is called a Secchi disc, and it goes down, and I've got to see where I lose sight of it. So it's going down into the water. You can see how brown the watercolor is. It's gone at about 4 meters down. Now, that's pretty poor.
Det svaga ljuset hämmar växtligheten och det påverkar hela näringskedjan.
Well, we're right in the middle of the Loch. We're in the deepest part of the northern basin. And what we're looking at is the food source of the fish that live out here.
So I'm pulling up through some 30 meters of water. That's just about down to where the plankton go by day. They migrate downwards by day.
Yep. Well, what's happened, this is actually not a lot of animals in there, but when you think that that's from about 3 cubic meters of water, there's not a lot left, not a lot there to feed on. So the food supply is very poor.
Men det finns en annan möjlighet. Vandrande lax som passerar sjön på väg till sina läggplatser.
You'll get quite large numbers passing up close on this shore. And these can be big fish, they can weigh up to 20 or 30 pounds. And we can work out that at most there will be something like 15 tons of salmon passing through the loch within a monthly period. That is still not a lot of food to support a population of large predators.
Och då finns det väl bara en rimlig förklaring.
There is one creature, very reptilian in appearance. It is actually the largest fish you will ever see in fresh water, where it eats nothing. I think it's possible that the tradition itself was begun by Baltic sturgeon making the occasional entrance to the loch, not finding mates, and then going away again.
En stor stör eller en stor ål skulle kunna ta sig in i och ut ur sjön utan att bli upptäckt. Ute till havs kan ålen bli 3 meter lång, vilket skulle förklara sonarutslagen. Men ögonvittna tror inte på det.
I, along with a friend, was on the south shore of Loch Ness fishing for brown trout. I saw an object surface. It was a large black object, a whale-like object, going from infinity up and came round onto a block end.
En pensionerad polis tillhör de 7 personer som har sett Nessie längst i nästan en hel timme.
The nearest thing would be sort of the back of a massive elephant if you cut bits off and replaced it.
Have you ever gone out in the loch on a boat since?
Not in the life. I wouldn't go out in a small boat in Loch Ness, supposing you'd give me the whole earldom of the north.
Den 5:e dagen är sjön spegelblank.
Now this is our last day with Arnie on the towing side scan. After that, we have to do fixed side scan.
Yep.
So we got to make the most of the day. Now we got all our bugs out of our equipment.
Det oprövade kamerateamet får instruktion.
20 years ago. This last day with Arnie with the side scan, towing. And you guys got to be ready.
We'll be ready.
The minute we get that target,
Yep.
come. But it's hard to say. Yeah, rot. Okay.
Sent på förmiddagen registrerar ekolodet något på 25 meters djup.
What have you got? Wow.
What is it about? 10 meters, 20 meters, what?
About 25 meters. 25 meters, we might pull that out on the sonar. We'll check it.
Charlie, we got a target on Gordon's thermometer here. Hoping the side scan will pick it up.
can you get over here with the cameras?
Righto, we're on our way. Bob, I've got 2 targets in the mid-water area over here on port, about 60, 65 meters.
Are you folks picking up anything now? Because we find a couple of targets off your port side, maybe about 50 meters.
Give that location again.
Towards us, as fast as you can, please.
The camera flips over if we go too fast.
Pull it out and come over then.
Three main targets, and they're spread out. If they moved off in that port side over to the left, they could probably pick it up with their camera.
We're getting mid-water targets here. 18 meters or so to port of us. Come as fast as you can.
I'm seeing a target. I'm seeing a target that's coming at... Oh,
look at the fish. Look at all those fish.
A small number of fish.
Well, that small number of fish may be tracking larger predators.
Barney says a small number of fish may be followed by some hungry predators.
We saw a small number of fish, but we haven't seen the hungry predator.
Några minuter senare har målet försvunnit. Just när man verkar vara så närmast en lösning så måste man avbryta sökandet. Det krävs mer resurser än vad den här expeditionen har för att söka upp och avbilda ett rörligt mål i Loch Ness grumliga vatten. Och dessutom så behövs det tur.
Stay about where you are now from us, so that you can get in here faster when we see some big targets, okay? Meantime, I hope that you're going to be in. We certainly weren't arrogant enough to think that we can cover every single spot in this lake and look in there and find a target. What we did was the most probable things, at least in our judgment. And if we can intrigue, and I think we have intrigued this new generation, to carry on, if there's enough excitement here about what we're doing, we will have accomplished a lot.
I don't think Bob Rhines is crazy. He's obsessed, obviously, but I think the obsession is natural. It's a good human instinct. There's something here that needs to be answered, something here that needs to be proven.
Uppgifterna om Loch Ness måste förstås tas med en nypa salt, särskilt eftersom många varit ren bluff. Biologiska och geologiska fakta utesluter svanödlan eller något annat stort rovdjur. Någon gång får man kanske en rimlig förklaring, kanske att det rör sig om en tillfällig besökare från havet. Fram till dess så kommer de oförklarade sonarutslagen och ögonvittnenas övertygelse att hålla liv i odjuret i Loch Ness.
That's quite a good one, really.
It was just big, I think is the best way to put it. So it certainly wasn't a seal, it certainly wasn't a fish. And all I can say is that, I suppose that looking at the loch, that somewhere in there, there's a Loch Ness monster. And as far as I'm concerned, I've seen it.
Though I remain convinced of the sincerity of many of the eyewitnesses, the majority of sightings are actually boat wakes and all the other hosts of illusion that you can get on Loch Ness, particularly on a calm day.
I saw what I saw, and I'm not going to be dissuaded. I know, and it wasn't just, you know, an imagination, and I'm a sane guy. I've got no axe to grind. As I say, I sell pet food. What use to me is a Loch Ness monster?
Yeah, I could wake up tomorrow and find that the Loch Ness monster has just crawled ashore with a large sign saying, "Gah, boo, sucks, fooled you again." Well, it wouldn't be the first time scientists have been wrong. We've been wrong before, we're going to be wrong again. And maybe there's something about Loch Ness we don't know after all.
In no way am I even attempting to convert anybody to the religion of the object in Loch Ness. But I saw it, and nothing can take that away.
Och därmed så sätter vi punkt för berättelsen om det möjliga monstret i Loch Ness. Och kvällens dokumentär var en samproduktion mellan den amerikanska Nova-redaktionen i Boston och Vetenskapens värld. Och så är vi framme vid innehållet i vårt nästa program. Atomubåten med dess kärnvapen skapades under det kalla krigets tvekamp mellan USA och Sovjet. Det är ett av krigshistoriens verkliga supervapen som krävt enorma insatser av forskare och tekniker och pengar. Fienden vet nästan aldrig exakt var den finns och dess slagkraft är ofattbar. Kärnvapnen ombord på en enda ubåt har större sprängkraft än alla andra världskrigets bomber tillsammans. Men utvecklingen av detta tekniska monster har också krävt många människoliv. Minst 9 atomubåtar har förolyckats, de flesta sovjetiska. Och en av dem försökte USA att stjäla. Med hjälp av det här så kallade forskningsfartyget Global Explorer, som spelade huvudrollen i ett av historiens mest fantastiska spionäventyr. Jakten på ärkefiendens ubåtshemligheter var en viktig del i havets kalla krig. Och till detta ska vi alltså återkomma om 14 dagar här i Vetenskapens värld. Men redan om en vecka så blir det mera vetenskap här i Sveriges Television. Vår svenska Nova är alltså tillbaka om en vecka.